Yeah, welcome. We are International TEFL Academy and excited to do this training, this webinar tonight. I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. My name is Andrew. I am one of the admissions advisors here at ITA. I actually took my course here at ITA as well. I took my course about 4 years ago and spent some time teaching in South Korea before stepping into the role here as an advisor. Before I forget and get too far into these intros, everyone, you'll see the question box on the bottom right of your screen there. If you can, just go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from so we have an idea of who's here tonight. We'll give some shout outs to some people who are tuning in. Just kind of as we wait for a few more people to trickle in before we kick off the rest of these intros.
Great, thanks, Andrew. Hello, everyone. My name is Shay. I'm an admissions advisor here at International TEFL Academy. I work in our partner relations department as well. I was fortunate to tour Europe as a performer, and my first thought was, how on earth do I do more of this? And make sure I have other revenue streams to do that. So it led me to teaching English as a language. So I'm originally from a really small area where most people don't travel internationally by choice or by circumstance. So it's a real treat for me to just help people learn more about this opportunity. And nice to be chatting with you all. And I'll pass it over to Liz.
Yeah, so I taught English in China and Denmark. Originally only planned to go abroad for a year, ended up staying abroad for 7 years, so I really loved it. I've also taken our 11-week online class, which was really great, and yeah, that's me.
Great, thanks guys. Well, also just to welcome some people here, we've got Martha tuning in from California. We've got Haley all the way in Barcelona. Welcome.
Great.
We've got Devin tuning in from Dallas. We also have Stephen in North Carolina. So we got people from all over the country. Some people from internationally as well. I see some people from Canada. So welcome everybody. We're so glad that you are able to join us this evening.
That's great. Oh, it's late in Barcelona, but the party doesn't start until it's late in Barcelona, so that's cool.
Right.
All right, cool. So Andrew mentioned this a moment ago. Everyone, locate that questions box in the GoToWebinar screen on the right side. Now we have a lot of people tuning in here tonight, so we'll do our best. Liz is going to do her best to be fielding a lot of your questions. She'll certainly be sending you, relevant links. Maybe versus typing out long answers, but nonetheless, getting you some good info and content along the way. And as I'm sure we will repeat many times through this presentation, please do jot down questions as we go through this and follow up with your individual advisor so that you can talk more specifically about your personal goals, your personal plans. We can create that success plan. So be sure to send some questions along the way.
Great. And then also, I know this slide was up there kind of as the presentation was getting started, but please do connect with us on social media as well. It's one of the more inspirational places you'll find on the internet. People who are getting started on their journey or halfway through their journey in their course. But you can actually see it from some people who are out there doing it. So you don't always have to take our word for it, but can connect with your peers and really understand kind of what this whole experience is about. So definitely connect with us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'd love to engage with you. And again, a good place for you guys to learn more about what this is about.
Yeah, we're going to expand on that a little bit later about our amazing alumni network and kind of how interactive and engaged they are. But here's the agenda for tonight. Don't read ahead. Who we are here at International TEFL Academy. How the awful virus has impacted the field of teaching English abroad, where things stand now, and of course the title tonight, 10 countries for teaching English abroad right now, job tips in the age of COVID and all of the Greek letter variants, teaching English online, a big thing. certainly now, and that's not stopping. TEFL timelines, how to map out this timeline to hit your goals. TEFL certification, of course. Job search guidance, a big thing we do here as a full service TEFL school. We'll dive into that. And raffle winner announcement tonight for following us on social media through Facebook, Instagram. Follow us there. Liz is going to keep an eye on that. We are going to raffle off a winner at the end, so stay tuned for that. And then at the end too, we're also going to do a little Q&A and just a little bit of wrap up with an exclamation point.
Got a lot going on today, so we'll make sure to stop and give you chances, or we got a lot to cover. Basically, is what I'm trying to say here, and who we are. We touched on this a little bit, but here are some reviews that we have on different third-party websites, so you can see the kind of reviews that our students are leaving for us. Go Abroad is probably one of the best known international organizations out there, and we've been rated the top online program as well as the top rated TEFL organization there last year. We also won the People's Choice Award for Go Abroad in 2021 as well. So a lot of accolades out there. We really try to be the most professional, highly regarded training school out there, and that's something that we take very seriously. And you can see that in the reviews that we get from our students.
Yeah, very proud to be multi-award winners, especially for that People's Choice Award for sure. So ITA by the numbers. We were founded in 2010. Might be surprising to some of you out there, but the age range of our graduates, 17 to 85. We have people all over the map, quite literally across the world as well, teaching abroad through us. Total students last year, over 6,000. Total alumni, 35,000 plus. It's a big, awesome family to be a part of. And in addition to just numbers, I also want to remind our audience that we have people with degrees, without degrees. We've had non-native English speakers be successful. So don't think that this isn't for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Shay. And here's our team at our inaugural film festival a couple years back, when we could all just get together all freely. But all of us here have lived and taught English abroad before. So we have a ton of experience as a team helping people go out and do this in literally all parts of the world. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in, in terms of education and travel, and something that we take very seriously, obviously, and are eager to help other people have the experiences that we were able to have. And so we've all been in your shoes before.
Yeah, look at that picture from the glory days of pre-self-isolation. Isolation. That was from our 2019 inaugural film festival. We do a lot of fun things over here at ITA, but yeah, I guess that's a nice picture, just as a reminder, like, hey, we are here. We are open for business as a school, and we're here to help you make this happen. So first, before we dive into the content, we would love to have everyone participate in a quick poll question, which is, what best describes your situation? Liz is going to launch that poll momentarily, but we'd love to get just a temperature for the room, so to speak, to know what people are thinking, what people's kind of initial goals going into this are. And there we go, launch that poll. So main goal is just to teach English abroad when it's possible. I want to teach online to gain experience and then go abroad later. I want to be a digital nomad. I want to just teach online and travel the globe. I'm already TEFL certified and looking for work, or I'm not sure, but I know I want to do this, but I'm not sure. So take a few moments for that. We'll get a pulse. And Andrew, what was your situation before you got TEFL certified? What were you thinking?
Yeah, for me, it was something that I knew I wanted to do. I wasn't sure exactly when I wanted to leave. I was working, full time at the time, but just knew that this was something that I really wanted to pursue. Found it very interesting. So I was kind of in that boat, but I was pretty set that I wanted to do it. Just wasn't quite sure on my timeline, which is where my advisor, helped me out. So
Nice. Yep, it's just about planning ahead to make it happen. Cool. All right. So the majority, like, hey, I want to get out of Dodge. All right, as soon as I can. Seems to be kind of taking the poll here, and the rest kind of more evenly distributed. So that's really good to know, and it's good to know for all of you out there. Just hey, where kind of other people are at on this idea too. So glad you're in this webcast, because I want to teach abroad when it's possible. That's what we're here to learn tonight, when and how. So thank you for everyone who participated in that. Great info to know.
great, thanks, Liz. And then you can go ahead and close up that poll, and we can keep going. All right, so how has COVID-19 impacted the industry of international education so far? As you may believe, it's impacted it quite a bit for basically the last 12 to going on 18 months now. There's been a lot of international travel restrictions, and a lot of learning has gone online. So there's really just been a ton of impact, So we're going to look at some of the variables and just, the situation's always fluid. We tell our students this, every day when we're on the phone, that things are constantly changing, in the world right now in regards to what's possible and, what's open. So we're going to do our best to kind of, give you an idea of what you can do right now and get a pulse on what the world looks like in regards to international education. But, understand that things are, consistently changing. So we're doing our best to keep on it. But, we're also going to talk about teaching English online and how that could potentially fit into your plans as well. Something that we're, advising everyone to at least look into, because it gives you a way to bridge that gap before you go abroad. So we'll talk about teaching online a bit. And then also we'll touch on all of our TEFL classes and what's going to be available to you in terms of your TEFL training right now.
Okay, cool. So where do things stand now? So again, it's hard to encapsulate the whole world marketplace, but we are going to talk about some specific countries and timelines here. The situation is improving in some countries, but COVID still a major challenge worldwide, and that situation, as Andrew said, and everybody knows, it is fluid. Some schools are open, they're reopened, or some schools are open, some schools are reopening, but the international hiring as a whole is still slow. Not a shocker, I'm sure, to anyone here. International travel is slowly returning. Europe is reopening to international travel. Asia, the Middle East are reopening to varying degrees. Again, not trying to be vague. This is another exhibit 36 on why you need to talk to your personal advisor about your specific goals. But we still have, over this past year plus, ITA alumni that are going abroad. So there are options for you. Schools in Latin America, some are open, some are reopening, though that's a place, just like the US, that cases of COVID have been surging at times. So maybe not as open as other areas, but we're going to talk about these specific countries right now.
Great. So let's dive into them. And first, we're going to talk about the Asian job market. This is, by far the largest TEFL marketplace. There's just so many people learning English there. So it's definitely the biggest market. Also can be the most lucrative in terms of salary and benefits for teachers. I spent my time teaching in South Korea, which we'll touch on here in a second, but they've been hiring teachers basically since, I don't know, February. So for the last 6 months or so, I mean, they've done a really good job with, handling this pandemic and have been able to really, I don't want to say not skip a beat, but they've been, one of the first countries opening up hiring teachers again. So it is a great place. But, in general, the Asian job market is a huge market and somewhere that you should definitely look into if you're looking to do this in the near future and are hoping to save some money, because all of these places you will have the option to do pretty well financially. So to start us off, we'll talk about South Korea.
Yeah, South Korea, always a top draw. I think our South Korea Facebook alumni group has, I don't know, 2,600 members in it. Is it more than that, guys? You know, a lot. Anyway, got a lot of people that have taught in South Korea, are teaching in South Korea, will be teaching in South Korea. Some of you out there. Anyway, a great draw, obviously. Not only an amazing cultural experience, but you can save $1,000+ per month after expenses. Incredible. Free airfare, housing is provided to you with the employers that we work with. A work visa sponsorship by your employer is taken care of. Lots of hiring is done in advance through free recruiters that we work with as well. There are very popular public school programs like EPIC. Maybe some of you out there that have been researching South Korea have seen EPIC. I personally haven't been there yet. I'm sick of hearing about how cool it is. But again, we have so many people that do this more than once, including some of our staff here that have taught in South Korea. Thought they were going to stay for 1 year, stayed for many, just like Liz in China. But anyway, food, nightlife, but still at the same time, great hiking. You know, modern cities. It's a cool dynamic there, and their response, of course, to COVID, kind of the elephant in the room here for tonight's presentation. They've done a good job, which I think goes to the organized nature of just this whole experience teaching in South Korea in general. So now quarantine has been routine for people looking at South Korea. 2 weeks quarantine upon arrival, been kind of standard over this past year. For those of you that are vaccinated or plan to or are considering vaccination, I think kind of across the board, it's probably going to make things a lot easier moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on kind of the different, you got the nightlife, you've got hiking, you've got the ocean, you've got mountains. I mean, I was certainly not aware of just the variety of things you could do and variety of landscapes in South Korea. So I'm biased. I spent, a lot of quality time there, but if you're open to teaching in this part of the world, highly suggest looking into teaching in South Korea. It's a fantastic opportunity. To move on to Taiwan. Taiwan is a subtropical island nation with a modern economy off the southern coast of China. If you want to learn to speak Mandarin, but maybe China seems a bit overwhelming, Taiwan is a great option. You also have the ability to save, $500 plus per month after expenses, so you can do quite well. We have a couple of our alumni who've taught there. I feel like of our staff who've taught there. I find myself talking about Taiwan more and more for whatever reason, but it's a fantastic place to teach. We have a bunch of great recruiters that we work with there. So it's a wonderful place to teach, and it's super warm. It's like a tropical country as well. So if you're looking for, that kind of weather, another great place. And of course, your work visa will be sponsored by your employer. So that's not something that you have to worry about either.
Very cool. China, the biggest job market in the world, hands down, no question, without a doubt. And the major economic force in the 21st century. So yeah, if you want to learn Mandarin, yeah, Taiwan or China, might be a great place for you to base yourself. Again, kind of those the nice things about this region, those extra monetary benefits that might be important to you in your first adventure abroad or whatever the case may be. The ability to save $1,000+ per month after expenses. That might not be with every employer, but nonetheless, that has been had by so many of our alumni teaching there. Free airfare, housing, also from the employer, visa sponsorship, a lot of nice benefits here. And again, hiring done in advance. So, even if you're open to China, but at the same time, you'd like to explore your options in South Korea, we can help you do those at the same time. I mean, that's a lot. that's a lot to take on, but nonetheless, you could still be annoying your friends with some job opportunities in different parts of the world. So China, definitely have that on your list as well.
Absolutely. It's kind of hard to imagine, I think, sometimes just how many people there are learning English in China. I mean, there's something like over 100 cities with 1 million people or something like that. So there's just an extraordinary amount of people learning English there. And So to move on to Thailand, a little bit different. You're moving into Southeast Asia now, known as the land of smiles. You'll be able to save some money here as well. Maybe not quite as much as somewhere like South Korea or China, but you're still going to have more than enough money to live. So if you've got student loans or something else that you're paying back home, you're still going to be able to do that working in a place like Thailand. Your work visa is sponsored by your employer. You can interview both in person and advance. So if you're someone who wants to go over there and see your school in person, that's absolutely something you can do. You can get that visa processed once you get there, which is really good. Again, tropical, floating markets, Buddhist pagodas. I mean, you've got a lot of incredible culture in Thailand as well. One nice point that's not up on there is that you also have the option for maybe a shorter contract length in Thailand. So you're not just required to work for 12 months. If you're looking for something a little shorter, maybe 5 or 6 months, those contracts are also available in Thailand. So not quite the commitment sometimes if you're looking for something a little bit shorter. And then of course the food. I mean, you can't beat it. You get spicy pad thai, on the street for about $1. That'll give you 2 or 3 meals sometimes too. So really a great place to teach.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. We're going to shift over to the European job market and the top options right now. Everyone can read those: Spain, Hungary, Poland, Italy. Sounds pretty good. So these are countries where ITA grads are having the most success right now getting jobs. And before we dive into these specific countries, I just want to make a quick point. All these pictures here, these are actual International TEFL Academy graduates abroad doing this. Same way with all of you that are reviewing us through the various outlets to check out our reviews. It's not just Gilbert, New York, and some some stock photo with some stock quote. Definitely pour through our Instagram, Facebook, check out our reviews. They are in-depth and incredible, and you actually get to hear from real people doing this right now. It's a great way to just learn more about the reality of your opportunities. So sorry, I just wanted to crowbar that in here before we move on to countries in Europe.
No, I think that's perfect, and you'll find on our website too, we're repurposing a lot of those videos, and you can go into our video library and just, sort by country, and you have so many different videos there that you can see kind of a day in the life of people working in these different countries. So Spain. Now, this is probably, I don't know, Shay, I probably talk about Spain more than anywhere else in Europe. It's a very, beautiful place. Lots of people study abroad there, fall in love, want to go back, or want to go for the first time, looking to learn Spanish. I mean, there's so many reasons to go and teach in Spain, and I think, part of being an English teacher, or at least, English teachers were able to go and travel to Spain before tourists were. Right. So, I mean, if you wanted to go and see Spain over the last 6 months, like you were going as a teacher, right? And there's such a huge demand for English teachers there. You can go on a student visa through one of our student visa programs in Barcelona, in Madrid. There's the Cultural Ambassadors Program, along with a few other government programs in Spain, where you're actually going to be teaching in public schools. There are certain hiring periods for most of those programs. So, talk to your advisor about your timeline, when it's going to make sense for you to get started with things, because that will be something to keep in mind. But these programs are hiring teachers for the fall. That is the fact of the matter. So, if this is somewhere that you're interested in teaching and you want to get things going, then it is very much on the table. Madrid is the primary job market. As you can imagine, one of the bigger cities. There's just so many different schools there. That's where our partner school is located as well. If you want to learn Spanish, what better place to learn it than where the language was born, in Spain. So there's so much culture there. You could probably spend a year in Spain, not leave, go to a different city every single weekend, and still not have covered the whole country. So just an amazing place. And then, on top of that, there's a ton of private tutoring opportunities as well. So if you feel like you want to earn some extra money, you want to work one-on-one, maybe you want to work with adults in a certain line of work. If you have professional experience there's a ton of opportunities to teach one-on-one as well. And you'll see a lot of these videos on our website, like we mentioned. But yeah, Shay, anything to add about Spain? I know it's somewhere we talk about a whole lot.
It is probably the most popular European destination for our alumni. A lot of ITA alumni there right now. My wife taught there for 3 years. I've been there a bunch, very fortunate to have been there a bunch of times. So yeah, lots of love. As our attendee from Barcelona, I'm sure can second. But no, it's a great, everyone should go. That's it. Everyone needs to go. Europe is great too, because it's like you can go see so many different distinct countries, but relatively close together, which is really neat. But anyway, we won't get too stuck on Spain, but check it out. Talk to your advisor if that interests you. Moving on to Hungary. A great program right now through Hungary is the Central European Teachers Program, CETP program, which that's kind of like saying ATM machine, isn't it? So anyway, CETP offers teaching positions in multiple cities and regions around Hungary. On one of International TEFL Academy's international company trips, we went through Budapest, a beautiful, beautiful neo-Gothic architecture there, and spent some time at thermal baths and just floated on a boat down the Danube. Anyway, glory days, glory days. But anyway, don't overlook a place like Hungary. Maybe that hasn't been on your map. It's got a low cost of living compared to most Western European nations. I tend to feel like Central and Eastern Europe are the next Western Europe in a manner of speaking. I think there's a lot of uncovered gems there, and we're going to touch on another uncovered gem next here.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that Eastern Europe is somewhere that doesn't get as much love as it should, because it's beautiful. There's a ton of teaching opportunities. One last thing I'll add about the CETP program, CTEP program, is that if you have a family, they are very accommodating in providing visas for your spouse or children. They can help them get into school there, and it's a benefit that's not usually there for most programs, is to have all those benefits for your family. So if that's something that you're considering, or if you have children, that could be a great program for you to look into. We've got some
point.
Yeah, really great article from one of our alumni who was teaching there with her 4 kids, and it's extremely inspiring. So definitely something to check out.
Yeah, and they want our graduates.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a good relationship with that program. It seems like, yeah, they definitely want our graduates. So moving on to Poland, another country in Central or Eastern Europe. BA is not required to teach here. So for those of you who don't have a bachelor's degree and are maybe concerned about that, this is somewhere that you can definitely look into. You're going to get yourself a work visa. So in Europe, usually the biggest hurdle for people is the visa, not necessarily the being able to find a job. There's tons of jobs. It's just about being able to legally be somewhere. Oftentimes countries in Europe make it quite difficult, and Poland is somewhere where you can actually get a work visa quite easily, once you get hired. So that's a huge plus there. It's a big market. There's a bunch of big cities, and like we said, it's not quite as competitive because I think it's kind of off some people's radar, and that could be an advantage for someone who's looking to start maybe more quickly. It's possible to get a job in advance. Also, not very common in Europe. Most of the time, you do have to be there. So the fact that you can line something up from home can take a little bit of the risk out of it. People who have a little bit of anxiety of getting on a plane without a job, I know that's extremely valid. I think I would as well. And historic cities like Krakow offer classic European experience. There's obviously so much history in Europe, and Poland is no different. So also a lot of good beer if you're into that.
Absolutely. I've had a blast everywhere I've gone. I'm sure a lot of people in attendance and you guys agree. But anyway, moving on to Italy. So in Italy, the student visa programs are the most common route for U.S. citizens, for sure, to teach there. Where are the jobs in Italy? Well, as you might imagine, the bigger the city, the more schools, the more job opportunities for you. So Rome, Milan, these are the biggest cities as compared with smaller cities like Florence, where we have a TEFL training course on site, and also many alumni nonetheless. But again, just kind of a good kind of rule of thumb for everyone out there listening as you're looking on where you want to go first. Yeah, the bigger the city, the more jobs. So the more people, the more jobs. Private lessons, teaching English online to supplement income, those are very popular things to do. As you might recall, when we were introducing ourselves, that's what I did. I taught private lessons to young adults. It's a very popular way for young adults there on the continent to learn English, just one-to-one at the cafe or at the bar. So lots of fun, great way to meet people. And I hope I'm not stealing anyone's slide later on, but one other quick point to this is, if you're looking at a place that you want to teach in a place like Italy right now, maybe you do want to try your hand at teaching English online straight out of the gate, like as soon as you're done with your training. As you prepare to go to Italy, you will have time on the side to explore, to learn a language, to do private lessons. But as you make that transition, it might be a much smoother financial transition if you already have online clients that you're working with, and you just take them to Italy with you. And as we mentioned earlier, we have some alumni, that's what they do. They just travel the world and take their clients with them and teach online. So just wanted to fit that in real quick, as I think that would be a really sharp way of heading to Italy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for people like us or teachers like us, it's such a great thing. It used to be only, computer engineers that could just bring their laptop with them and travel the world and work from beaches in Bali or whatever that was. And now I think, with the advancements of technology and things like that, you speak English and you have the desire to teach and can, seek out a bit of training, that you have that ability to be a digital nomad as well. So we'll definitely get into that when we talk online teaching. But yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, Shay, because it's something that I think most everybody should at least be looking into. And then it brings us to the Latin American job market. So we'll touch on a couple countries here in Latin America. Both Costa Rica and Mexico are places that are open right now. So if you wanted to travel to Costa Rica, you wanted to travel to Mexico, that's something that you'd be able to do. Schools are hiring teachers. I know in Costa Rica, some of those opportunities are still, online, but they are hiring teachers to be they're hiring teachers there in Costa Rica. So I'll just get to the next slide here and let Shay talk about it in more detail.
Yeah, Costa Rica, my goodness, love Costa Rica as well. So there are a lot of great benefits, I think, to the Latin American region in a place like Costa Rica in particular. The region in general is a region that's really wide open for people that have yet to finish a degree. So that's a great advantage. It always ranks like as a top country for like citizens like happiness index, and for anyone out there that's been there before, I mean, why. I mean, the weather, there's so many cool things to do. There's such biodiversity and rainforests, and you can do a lot of fun like sports, surfing or zip lining or you name it. There's so much going on there, and people are so friendly. It's really cool. Low cost of living. If you want to work on your Spanish, there's a huge demand, especially for U.S. citizens. It's easy proximity to the U.S., making it a little bit more affordable to get to and from. We do have an on-site training course in Costa Rica as well that is running right now. So for those of you that are like, I really want to train in person, have that experience, Costa Rica is a great place to be looking at right now. And you see our alumni with his big Pura Vida beach towel, Pure Life. Yeah, you'll get into that vibe once you're down there. There's no avoiding it.
Yeah, I know. Being here in the city, just all that green space is so appealing. So for all you in the city, I mean, Costa Rica is like one of the greenest places there. Very forward thinking when it comes to sustainability and all that stuff. So just a wonderful place to be. Which brings us on to Mexico, which is another really humongous teaching market. There's a lot of big cities there where you can go and teach. There are work visas available. That's something you can do in advance or after you get there. So some flexibility there. You do not need a bachelor's degree similar to Costa Rica. I know my favorite kind of food in the world is Mexican food. You can't beat tacos, so you can have those anytime you want. As you mentioned, huge job market, low cost of living, interview locally, interview in advance as well. It's again close proximity to the U.S., so I think a lot of similarities from Mexico and Costa Rica. You know, a couple of different cultural experiences in either place, so you can kind of choose which you'd prefer there. But of course, amazing history, cultural and natural beauty as well. Yeah, Mexico City. I don't know if anyone is Mexico City's on their radar, but it's a massive city. Can seem a bit overwhelming. Very, very cool city. Tons of English teaching jobs. We also have a course in Guadalajara as well. So another place where if you are seeking out that in-person training, we do have one in Mexico as well.
Cool. So can I teach in other countries? These countries that you're talking about are great, but what other options do I have, right? Well, you have other options and you don't have other options right now. So I'm sure that's clear to everybody. No, I mean, like we don't mean to repeat ourselves, but the situation is constantly changing. Country by country are dealing with this thing differently. So the good news is the needle does seem to be moving in the right direction. We do see more countries that are beginning to open, especially in Europe, Asia, in the Middle East. As long as this terrible virus is a factor, it's gonna remain fluid. So what I encourage everyone to think about is the long-term benefits of a TEFL certification. I mean, it is like a degree. I mean, once you got it, at least ours. And same thing with our personal career services. We have a lot of retirees out there right now teaching abroad. So even if that you're going to use it right now, or that some point in the future that you're going to use it, there aren't too many single courses that operate like this that open up so many opportunities for people. So kind of have that long-term view of it, because many people, as you guys have gathered thus far, use it many times over, online, in person, right away, down the road. One of my best friends, like, this is his career. And we have a lot of movers and shakers in our alumni that have used this as a springboard into so many other things too. So yeah, not to be vague, are there other countries? Yes. Are there some countries that aren't options? Yes. One more time, talk to your specific advisor. If there's a specific country you're looking at, talk to your advisor on, how do I make this work?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for, is to talk through the specifics with you, because we can't cover everyone's plan in this presentation. So, your advisor's there to go over the specifics. So tips for your TEFL job search during, while we're dealing with this virus. I think we're kind of repeating ourselves here with some of this stuff, but the situation can change in any country at any time. So I think, one thing is to just be prepared, right? I think sometimes we talk with people who are saying, they want to have everything lined up and they want to have every answer answered, before they even get started. And really what they're doing in many cases is just, delaying themselves, right? So really what you can do is to get yourself ready, whether that's, taking your certification or getting started teaching English online, so that when the time comes and when the time is right, that you're able to take advantage and be ready. So I think that's one thing. With everything changing, you can just control what you can control and get yourself ready. You're going to have to be flexible, willing to adapt. I think plans, you'll have your plan, it'll change 3 or 4 times, as things are all playing out, which I think is probably normal for people at this point. I know we had lots of plans for the last year that kind of got flipped upside down. So just be, not get too frustrated, willing to be flexible and adapt. In terms of your vaccine, it's certainly going to help you be allowed into more countries. More schools will be, willing to hire you, and you might be able to avoid some costly quarantine in certain countries as well. So that's just one other thing you can do to make things easier on yourself. I think going along with being flexible is being patient. It's not always going to happen as quickly as you'd like. It can happen very quickly, and as long as you stay proactive, things can, really move along. But understanding that things may take, longer than you think. And again, that comes back to the point of, getting started with your training as soon as you can to make sure that you're ready when the time comes and not have to be, on the back end, kind of dragging your feet, wishing that you'd started sooner. Staying informed is a big part of it as well. Talk to your advisor. I think we've said that a few times so far tonight, but things are always changing, right? So you do want to, we're doing our best to keep up with things. We're communicating with our alumni and our partners around the world as well to have the best kind of up-to-date information for you. But we're all kind of learning this stuff at the same time. So certainly stay informed. Make sure that you're doing your research. But I think ultimately, the number one thing that you can do is just get the ball rolling, right, and get yourself prepared so that when the time comes, you're ready to go. And then, of course, teaching online, as Shay mentioned, is a great way to kind of bridge that gap or get yourself started.
Yeah, and let's open that up just a little bit more. I mean, why teach online? And please know that this is not like some people think, oh, like, oh, I want to teach in person. It's not in place of that, but it might be a great way to just get some experience, to earn a revenue stream, to again, maybe go someplace short term, before you go long term. Anyway, I think wherever you plan on teaching in the future, we do highly recommend that you get experience and earn some extra money by teaching English online. It's not going anywhere. It is here to stay. Digital everything on its way. So I think in the 21st century, it's probably good to have multiple ways you can help people and have revenue streams. This is a great one. It is a massive job market. Awful coronavirus, yeah, it made this go exponential. It's the fastest growing sector in international education. Maybe surprising to some, but you can make $15, $20+ an hour as a first-time teacher. So you can teach from home. You don't have to go anywhere. You can teach before you go abroad. You can teach on the side while you're abroad, while you teach in person, or you can just teach online full-time and gallivant the globe. But it is a great way to gain experience, to build your resume, which we can assist you with here when the time comes to teach English abroad in a country in person. All in all, it's just awesome flexibility. It's something that you really can set your own hours. You really can make it complementary to whatever your current schedule is, and you just need internet access, so you can really teach from anywhere. It's still a newer thing.
Absolutely. And even too, and those numbers there, that $15 to $20 an hour, I mean, for experienced teachers, it can certainly be more than that as well. So that's kind of, the baseline. And then, from there, you could even potentially make, $25, $30 an hour in some cases as well. So timelines. This is a very important part of putting together your plan, understanding exactly, what your timeline looks like, whether that's, for taking your course or actually moving abroad. Now, in today's world, nothing is certain, and it would be kind of professionally irresponsible for us to speculate on how each country would or will continue to respond to this virus and everything that's going on. So, like we've said, things are very fluid, but just in general, we're going to provide you with a chart here in a second that really shows you how long it actually takes to really move through this process. Now, every situation is different. Some people are going to be more proactive than others, but when it comes down to taking your course, looking for your job, going abroad, we kind of try to simplify it with this little chart here. So I'll have Shay break it down for you, but yeah, it's very important to understand exactly what your timeline is, especially when getting started.
Cool. So I think this is a great chart for everyone to soak in here, because you want to give yourself time. You want to give yourself some buffer time at that. You want to make this a comfortable transition for yourself. So from the top there, you see that yellow bar. That's our 11 weeks online class. We're going to dive into that here in just a moment. That's our most popular option for people to get this TEFL certification. We also have a 2-week specialty training, which many of you that are looking to teach English online initially or primarily or on the side should really consider a specialty like that. This red bar, yeah, that's a lifetime bar. That's our personal assistance through jobs and career. And we have 9 full-time staff members here that just do that. So that is genuinely a personal service, and that's way more people than are in my college career services center. So anyway, got your back there. Again, kind of depending on how you're or where you're going to be teaching and how you train. Job search, 2+ weeks for especially teaching English online, which I think is a very quick turnaround. And again, somewhat depends. You see those asterisks that are very tiny there in that green bar. 3 to 6 months for an in-person hiring process, depending on the country. So you want to give yourself time. You want to give yourself time. Give yourself at least 3 to 9 months plus to begin this training, so that you can go through these steps comfortably. Even if you're beginning your training in the next couple of months, I mean, really, you should be thinking about the first half of 2022, realistically. It's not that it can't be sooner, but that's just a realistic time frame to have in mind. For those of you that have been diving into our course and what it entails, you may see there at the bottom of that page there under the chart that, there is practice teaching experience with this training, which can be done during those 11 weeks of the online course in this example. And yeah, another reason to plan in advance, because yeah, stupid COVID, timelines may fluctuate. So you want to give yourself plenty of time. Either you want to do it or not. And that's, I think, the informed decision that you really want to make for yourself. And the timeline, whatever it is, I encourage you to, if you want to do this, go ahead and get started sooner rather than later. It's much easier to make it all happen the way you envision it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that to touch on that red bar there in the middle, that bar should go all the way to the right of the screen, just through all those letters.
Bar should be in all the slides from now on. That's right.
That doesn't stop in month 9. So yeah, no, we're here to support you. As we've said a couple times too, like if you're, if this is something you want to do a year and a half from now, it does not hurt to get the process started, just to make things easier on yourself down the road. Now, online teaching jobs. So this slide might be a little bit out of place, but we're getting back to teaching English online a little bit here. It's realistic to expect to teach online full time. I think within 4 months of I think you'll be finishing your TEFL course. Excuse me. I think I might have read that wrong there. You may be able to start TEO part-time during your course. So we do have a teaching English online specialty course as well. I think we'll touch on those, but we do have a specialty course where you can get some extra training teaching English online. Interviews, hiring process, it's similar to any other job. It can take several weeks sometimes, definitely a little quicker than finding a job abroad, but can still take some time. So again, you're just going to want to be prepared for what that process looks like. Now, with the recent surge in people looking for online jobs, the market for teaching online has become more competitive. So it's more important than ever to become TEFL certified and even have a bit of specialization, just because there's lots of people who are looking into this, lots of people who were out of a job and are now looking for something to do. So it is important to have proper training from an accredited institution, and even having a specialty course on top of that. Having that online specialization can be very, very helpful. So, any legitimate school that you apply for online is going to require that you have this training. So just to kind of touch on the qualifications there a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And we got like 10 minutes here, so we need to press ahead. So let's just dive into the TEFL class options that are available to you right now. And just like Andrew said, hey, you need an accredited TEFL training. It is key. You want to be a great teacher. You want to work for a great school. It's just going to offer you more opportunities, and you'll be good at what you're doing. You'll know what you're doing. So let's talk right now about that flagship option, the 11-week online class.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our most popular class by far. It offers a lot of flexibility for people who have other stuff going on, whether that be work or school. That was the position that I was in when I took this course. I was working 40 plus hours a week. My timeline was about 6-8 months down the road. So it was like, okay, I need to get started now, but can't afford to quit my job quite yet. So, we have a course that you're able to do kind of in the background or during, whatever else you have going on. You'll probably spend about 10 to 12 hours per week on this course. Now, you're still going to have professional instructors with a master's or PhD in this field, university professors who are providing you support, feedback on your assignments every week. So this is not some online class where you're just clicking through some modules and then you take a quiz at the end. That this is not that kind of course. You will have, you'll be engaged with your classmates, with your professor, while still maintaining a lot of flexibility. It's a small class size of 20 students per class. So you are going to get that personalized feedback every week. There's videos, live webinars, live office hours. It's really the best of both worlds. You're going to have the flexibility of a part-time class, but you're still going to have the engagement and the attention that you get from an in-person class or something where you have a dedicated professor. So it's also the most cost-effective option as well. So if finances is something that you're concerned about, or if that factors into the plan, this is definitely going to be the course that is probably going to be the best fit for you. Shay, anything else to add about our 11-week course?
So much, but no, I think that's a good snapshot, and definitely talk with your advisor more in depth on that, and request we have a great 11-week online course demo with guest access that everyone can check out too.
Absolutely.
Great. So we also have the same exact class offered in a 4-week intensive online approach. So, if you have the time to commit to this same training, but in a full-time intensive approach, literally Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 5:30 Central Time, even pushing into the later evenings, 7:30 on some evenings, because of practice teaching that is built in. Then maybe the intensive approach is for you. Yeah, if you're like, I need to be on camera with my classmates and my professor, go. This is definitely the quickest way to get it done. As I said, everything is the same. You're still going to be working with a university level professor in this field with years of experience in this field. As I just mentioned, the practice teaching hours that you will be doing with an English language learner are built into that schedule. It's accredited, a little bit smaller, 12 students per class, so tons of engagement with your classmates and professor along the way. If you're not working or you have an open schedule, whatever the case may be, this might be a great option for you if you can handle that workload. Nothing you can't handle academically. It's just having that time. And I will mention that whether it's the 11-week or the 4-week, these classes all literally do sell out. So be planning ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Oftentimes weeks in advance as well. So definitely limited availability in most of these courses. Now, the advanced specialty courses. We've touched on this a little bit with teaching English online. We also have specialty courses for teaching English to young learners as well as business English. So if you know that you're going to be going to a part of the world where it's pretty clear the demographic that you're going to be teaching, whether it's South Korea, I was teaching only children, and that's very common there. So having that background in teaching young learners or some extra training, some tailored lesson plans for those type of learners can be very, very helpful. So these are not, required in order to be qualified to teach abroad, but can be a very nice resume enhancer. As everything's getting more and more competitive, like we mentioned, having one of these specializations on your resume is really going to help you stand out. And not only that, but provide you with some really good training and give you the confidence to go in on day one and feel prepared. So you can see there's a few other bullet points there, but just for the sake of time, we're going to keep it moving because we got I want to talk about our job search support as well as our Alumni Association before we take some questions here at the end.
Absolutely. So whether you're planning to teach abroad or online or both, I mean, getting certified, yeah, that's one part of the process, but then also, you know, navigating this huge world job market is a completely separate thing and just as important to having a successful and enriching experience with all of this. So that is why we are a full service school. Again, this is a picture of an alum along with one of our student affairs advisors here, Hava, to provide you personal guidance through this hiring process, the first time, the fifth time, whatever the case may be.
Exactly, and I love this picture too because Hava was my student affairs advisor 5 years ago when I was first getting started. It was literally in that seat talking to Hava, helping me come up with my plan. So it's kind of hits home there, that picture. But our student affairs and job search guidance, as we've mentioned, just to elaborate a little more and get into the specifics, will help you from start to finish, right? And that's with your resume, cover letter assistance. So when you're sitting down thinking, okay, what the heck is my experience? How do I make this look good when I'm applying to a certain job market? Personalized advice from your advisor, really understanding what your priorities are. We're not just funneling you to a couple different schools that we have relationships with. We are going to, ask you questions, understand what your priorities are, and then help you find a job that's going to be a good fit for you and not something that's just easy for us. So we're going to have live webcasts, trainings, and workshops so you can have lots of different ways to take in this information, whatever's best for you. Our job search guidance manual, it's like a 400-page PDF, dives deep into every country and what you need to do to get a job there. That's something that you'll have access to as an enrolled student. And once again, this is for life, right? You can take advantage of this tomorrow, next year, or 10 years down the road.
Awesome. Yeah, huge thing that we do. Also, we touched a little bit on this earlier, but it's gigantic and it's really important to everybody. Our Alumni Association. And if I may say, this is a really cool network to be a part of. It is so well engaged. We have private Facebook country-specific groups that you can join in to connect with people that are in these destinations right now or have taught there, will be teaching there. Get great, travel tips on, where to stay, or, people to meet up with. Hey, any ITA alumni want to show me around Seoul this weekend? Those things happen all the time. People find roommates there, whatever. People pick up private tutoring positions that way. It's so cool. You can join multiple groups just to get involved. We have an online teachers group as well. We host our World Alumni Day, which is basically just parties around the world all day long in a lot of the major markets where we have tons of people at. We have a yearly film festival. We had over 50 submissions to our last year's film festival. I mean, a lot of these things are completely unique to us within the TEFL field. I'm also a part of the charity department here to give them a plug, but we also have an alumni giving program that has helped support ITA alumni and their charitable organizations or charitable organizations that they contribute to. We have endless firsthand Q&As, testimonials, day in the life videos of actual people through actual experiences. I encourage everyone to check these things out to learn more of what the experience is like, and certainly if you enroll, I encourage you to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about how, we're here to help and some next steps, but I just want to say, don't take off too yet. We do have this raffle coming up here in just about 1 minute or so. So you want to stick around to see who's going to win that raffle and get some extra money off of their TEFL course. But yeah, bottom line is we're here to help. We want to guide you. We understand there's a lot of information out there. It can be quite confusing, sorting through it all on your own. So we are here to help, not just in the beginning phases of your plan, but also throughout as you're looking for your job, as you're moving abroad. So, we take a lot of pride in that. We're not here just churning out these certifications, but we want to help people actually follow their dreams and make this a reality. So what are the next steps?
Yes, talk to your advisor, get certified, go do it. Teach abroad, teach online. It's meant a lot to all of us. It's not for everybody, but it's certainly meant a lot to all of us.
Absolutely. And thanks for spending some time with us tonight, guys. It was a pleasure, being here with you all. And we look forward to speaking with you. And again, one last time, make sure to reach out to your advisor if you do have specific questions. They are here to help. So that about wraps it up. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Liz, Shay, for being here with me tonight. And everybody stay safe.
Yes, thank you all. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night.